Nick, you had talked about wanting to get your defense into its top form. That was as good as you guys have defended all series, I guess, for the full game.
Yeah, probably. I mean, they're really working hard and just active, right? I think again, my goal wasn't necessarily to turn them over; it was just that we ran hard to shooters and things like that. And I think for the most part we did, especially early, and I think that matters early. Yeah, it was they played hard for the whole game defensively.
What's it say about your group of guys that they lose Fred or they're down in the series and hot? They just played free and really, like you said, hard for 48 minutes.
Yeah, they're doing a really good job, Doug, of just finding some things offensively. I think they feel really good down there. Again, I think we're generating, for the most part, really good shots, and they should feel good about that. They're just kind of moving the pieces around, and we've got a few little principles that we're trying to follow, and they're doing a good job of it. We're getting just enough, transition bucket here or there, cut to the rim here or there, dump off here or there to get us at the rim enough as well. And I think the looks are still really good from the perimeter.
Talked about Precious being in the series after 2 games where he really wasn't. Can you speak to his emergence as like a big-time player in big moments?
Well, he's really playing well because he's obviously got a huge assignment for a lot of the game. I think it was a good combo tonight, though. Kem had a good 11, 12 minutes. Thad guarded Embiid for a good stretch, and then Precious, we were trying to kind of match his minutes there in the second half with Embiid once we got into the rotations. But yeah, he's made some really decisive offensive moves. Right, he's ran the floor, got a couple here. He's cut in from underneath the basket and got some dump offs. He's made some nice tough drives too.
Specifically from Gary, I mean, there was times that he was on Harden, times where he was on Matisse specifically. What did you get from him? It kind of looked like sort of what we saw from Gary mid-season with his defense and active hands.
Yeah, he was again, I think he's probably finally 100%. So I think his energy and wind and all that stuff and his activity can improve for longer duration. Thought he did a good job of moving his feet tonight. And he did reach in there and knock a few away, just enough to kind of keep him off stride a bit. He didn't maybe steal those, but he'd bat away, and they'd have to kind of reset everything and go pick it up again, and we could kind of settle in behind him on some of that stuff. But no, he was good. I thought he was really good offensively too. Made a couple tough shots there in the third when we kind of needed a little, ticking over offense, and obviously hit a couple big threes.
Couple tough shots Pascal also was able to make too, that he was kind of forced into but pulled through. What did you like in terms of the ways in which he was able to create?
Yeah, I just thought he was again composed, right? He was taking his time when he needed to. He was finding people, especially late. He was really dumping the ball off great, down below and out, which is great that he's seeing kind of both situations, because you got to take what's there, and sometimes they're spraying out to stop Gary or OG from getting a three, and guys are cutting in behind him, and he's able to find those guys too. But really, really good composure by him.
Every time those guys made a run, it seemed like you guys would string together 2 or 3 buckets. How important was that in terms of keeping their crowd out of it?
Yeah, I mean, it was huge. I mean, I expected it to probably get a little loud, and we're going to have to withstand a road crowd there if it got a little closer. And you're right, I think it maybe got to 9 a couple times, and we seemed to answer with a play or get a stop and get a transition bucket or something to settle things in again, and then we were able to get another stop, usually, and take it back up to double digits.
I knew you were hoping that a couple days of rest and treatment would help Scotty. He looked different to you today. Did he look better from a couple days ago?
He looked pretty good. He looked like he might have been laboring a bit there at the end of the game. So we'll have to see, but I think he's okay. But that's the first time I've seen him limp in 2 games, and he was limping a little bit there at the end.
You won the free throw battle in Game 4 tonight. Only 13, but in that third quarter there was like almost 5 straight possessions right to the rim. How pleased are you to see your guys taking those opportunities, even when Embiid is hanging out in the paint?
Well, I think if we can keep those guys, Harden and Embiid, to around 5 or 6 or 7 apiece, rather than double digits, we stand a much better chance, right? And that's important. And I think we got to the rim some, played through some hits, and just we just kept taking it in there. We got by them some to get to the layup, or a little bit of a tough stretch out layup or whatever it was. But yeah, I think we can probably survive a 20-13.
Without Fred, how much more of a workload do you put on Pascal in particular?
Well, those guys got to handle the ball, right? Scotty and Pascal got to handle the ball a lot, right? So there's that. That's not easy to do, to bring the ball up the court the whole game. It's good that they can kind of do it a little bit in tandem, with that. So I think that's the main thing.
As a player of the quarters, Fred, what does a performance like this say about your group?
Well, it says a lot about him. I think that we've had some practice here, especially late in the season, without him. We've kind of had our turn with everybody, and we've had to try to adjust to it. And I think it's important that we had that during the season, so we kind of knew what the rotations would look like, what the offense would look like, those kind of things. Yeah.
Is there such a thing as momentum in a series, game to game, and do you sense it changing it here?
Well, I mean, maybe there is, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, the ball goes up on Thursday. It's everybody's got to fight like heck.
Nick, you said at various points, like one of your goals was just to get as many playoff games for these guys
Yeah.
as possible. Was this the way you thought you would get to 6?
Not exactly how I would probably draw it up, but we're happy to still be playing. We need the games, that's for sure. Our goal is to keep improving.
As silly as it sounds, is there another level to get to? I mean, you look at the three-point shooting tonight, a lot of great opportunities, some openness.
Well, I think we could probably shoot a higher percentage. We keep throwing up 20% and 25%. I hope we could shoot a little bit better. We hope to get better. That'd be one thing we could do. We continue to make some adjustments defensively and change some things, and if we can keep executing those, that should give us a lot more, kind of in our package of schemes we can run.
Nick, you were saying before the game how important it would be to come out of those doubles and triples,
Yep.
sometimes on Embiid. Were you pleased with the way you guys got out to the perimeter and challenged some shots?
Yeah, I think I was. Especially early, Michael. I think it's important early in the game that we're out there and making those guys reload or shoot a really contested one or force them back inside the line, right? I thought we did a good job of forcing those guys to drive. I'm not so sure we did as good a job as we could do once they did drive it, right? So there's some things we can look at there.
You're at this point, you still haven't had the kind of three-point shooting game you keep talking about, hoping to have at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're making the right decisions to kicking them out to the right guys. I am pleased. I think we're making another pass a lot too. They're making the right reads to get those to those things. So hopefully we can keep generating those shots. That's always the main thing. I think if you consistently generate them, your offense is going to be pretty good.
Okay, we have a couple questions online. Go ahead, Josh.
Thank you. We'll go to Steve Simmons first. Go ahead, Steve.
In the first two games of the series, there was barely a quarter where they didn't score 30 points. Tonight they didn't get that or really even close to that in any of the four quarters. What has happened and changed from then to now that you have gotten, I don't know if comfortable would be the right word, but certainly successful?
Yeah, well, I talked about it after the first two games, and you guys were asking me what the hell's wrong with your defense, and I said everything, and I meant kind of all those foundational principles. First, transition was a huge problem. We weren't good at that at all. Our ball pressure wasn't good enough. Our shot contesting wasn't good enough, and our rebounding wasn't good enough. That's our four foundational principles, and we've just gotten so much better at all four of those, and then it allows us to get our defense set, and then we can get to, some of the schemes and things we're doing.
In tonight's game, the only time it really seemed to be close or get close was in the third quarter when you guys were sort of, I don't know, struggling offensively, maybe the way to put it, but every time you got into that struggling offense, it seemed Pascal made a basket. Sometimes standing still, sometimes
Yep.
a shot. He made about 7 points in I think three times down the floor that really separated the game at that point, and it was really never close again.
Yeah, you're right. He made some big, tough buckets when there wasn't much going, and those are huge. You know, that's you know, your scorer needs to produce some baskets on his own sometimes, and he was able to do that. I thought we had. You're right, though. I thought we had. I can't quite remember exactly, but I think it was at the end of the second and at the end of the third where we had 3 like really, really poor possessions in a row to end the quarters. You know, like we had a transition and we turned it over and we came down and took a quick, you know, contested 3 off of no passes, you know, and just like 3 in a row. And usually you can't get away with that, but you're right, Pascal bailed us out at the end of those usually.
One last thing quick. Scotty Barnes wins the Rookie of the Year on Saturday. Did he now win the Most Improved Player by today?
Well, his health has improved, and he's not the only one. I think other than Fred, everybody's feeling a little bit better. Gary, especially. Scotty's, you know, obviously in the series now again after, you know, going down in game 1, right? Pretty early on. But he's I thought he was assertive, man. He made some tough turnarounds, used his size, you know, he went to his strengths and he did it physically.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to Adam from Daily Hive. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Nick. All season long, you know, we've talked about the high minutes that the guys have played on this team and, you know, coming into a playoff game. Do you feel like, you know, the high minutes that they played throughout the year kind of has served as an advantage to them in these high-pressure moments?
Yeah, it was conditioning. Yeah, we were conditioning them through the year for this. It probably hasn't hurt. You know, I think, again, you get some time from the end of the year. We got about a week, right, till our first playoff game. Now we're going to get a few days. So, but, you know, this is every game is critical, no matter what the score in the series is, and you're gonna run your best guys as about as long as you can.
All right, thanks, Nick.
Yep, thank you.
Next, we'll go to Oren Weisfeld. Go ahead, Oren.
Hey, Nick, you talk about breaking the spirit of another team with the way that you guys can play defense and have at certain points. Have these last 2 games kind of been an example of maybe not breaking anyone's spirits, but kind of wearing them down in a way?
I don't know. I just think that we've been back and we've got our defense set and it's been active and we've put pressure on them and we've contested shots. And that's, you know, we just got to continue to do that through 48 minutes and if we want to have a chance to win.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Next, we'll go to Louis Zatzman. Go ahead, Louis.
Hey, Coach, when Pascal gets the ball in the paint and gets swarmed there, how important is Scotty Barnes ducking in on the baseline to opening up the floor for the offense?
Well, it's important. I mean, you want to have a rim presence, right? And usually a cutter can draw in another perimeter guy. You know, sometimes a cutter will draw 2 guys, you know, because it's kind of confusing. Sometimes it's tough to figure out who's supposed to take them and are you passing him off and popping out or whatever. So it's important. I mean, he worked on that a lot, him and Chris and Precious and those guys that are kind of OG some, you know, where they're in and out guys, and if they can figure out where they're at and cut in there behind it, you know, it keeps them honest and it keeps good floor balance and floor spacing.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep, thank you.
Last question to Takeshi Shibata. Go ahead, Takeshi.
Takeshi.
Coach, congratulations for a great win.
Thank you.
But a lot of work to be done yet. So
yeah, sure is. Yeah, there is.
My question is, I thought Game 5 on the road today, after a Game 4 win, that would be a very tricky game today.
Yep.
And the Game 6 might be even more tricky because they are very aware of their position. And
Yep.
you guys are on a kind of a very good momentum. So my question is, so I'm getting back to Utah. So
All right.
yeah, how Utah, or not only him but all the rosters are ready mentally for this kind of situation.
Well, I mean, listen, I think that with the emergence of Thad in this series now, we're okay playing probably a little bit bigger. Chris has played well. Precious has played well. I think we're getting our, 10, 12 minutes out of Kim as well. Again, there may be a time, like I've told you before, where I feel like we need some perimeter shooting. That's again, Utah's probably next on the list to come in there and provide that. He does give us a chance to continue to switch with his size and his hustle on defense. So, yeah, you never know. You never know.